All right, now we got that piece of business out of the way, McMahon. We can get down to real talk here.
Now that we've got the most important transaction of the NBA offseason out of the way.
I think it's only appropriate we follow up here with Cavs Corner.
Of course.
So...
really rub it in that he doesn't get to do this anymore.
No kidding. I wonder, what do you think his report to the Hawks is about Donovan Mitchell signing a 4-year, $270 million contract extension with the Cavs on the first day he's eligible on Tuesday?
Oh, this is a gong show. Look, it's a tough spot for the Cavs, honestly, because Donovan Mitchell's the face of your franchise. He's an all-NBA player. In one sense, him committing to you for 4 years is a major win. But we just saw how rough the market was for Jaylen Brown, in large part because of how much salary he made. I'm looking for one of the quotes that a GM gave me. But essentially it was, and look, the analytics are more friendly to Donovan. He's not as good a defensive player, but one of the GMs basically said, in terms of this kind of money, you've got to be a generational talent. And this guy didn't think Jaylen Brown was close to that, but he essentially said, when you get into the $70 million range, which is obviously where this is, there might only be a couple of players in the league that are worth that kind of money. And so there is some major risk involved here, especially when you've got Evan Mobley making 50 plus a year.
Right. So this is the Cavs are viewing this as a huge triumph, and for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I'm not saying that the Utah Jazz 100% believed this, but when they structured the trade, when they made the deal, which was, I think, 5 years ago now, they backloaded the picks that they pushed the picks out. They could get the farthest out. I think the farthest one out is 2029 unprotected pick. And there were swaps in there too. And I think the purpose is that the Jazz, I'm not saying I'm not projecting I know what the Jazz are thinking, but when the Jazz traded him, they were he may not be there in 29 or 27, 29. Because they weren't sure he would want to stay in Utah. It was part of the impetus for trading him. And so for the Cavs to
they knew he didn't want to stay in Utah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, their actions said that they didn't think he was going to stay. So the fact that Donovan has now signed 2 extensions and basically cementing that the Cavs' investment in the draft assets are, he's been all NBA 2 years in a row, first team last year, second team this year. They're signing, I believe, the second best player in franchise history to a contract extension that will carry him through his prime. That is an absolute victory for them. It is going to be a lot of money by the 4th year of it, when he's, I think, 33 or 34. Yeah. It's going to be $75 million.
75.5 if we're counting.
So, but then there's the other side of it, which is getting him to do it this summer was not something they 100% expected. Now, Donovan never said anything except for he never even gave a syllable that indicated he wasn't happy in Cleveland. But he never did really with Utah either, right?
No, it was pretty well known he wasn't happy in Utah.
Yeah, but he never said anything.
He didn't say it out loud, but it was not a secret.
Anyway, my point is, just because he didn't say anything, you back it up with actions, right? And so when he signed his last extension, his first extension in Cleveland, he signed it for a year shorter than he could have. And it basically bought the Cavs 2 years. It looked like it was a 4-year extension, really was a 2-year extension. And it put them in this, and it was designed for exact reason. It put them in this bit of an awkward spot because now Donovan is 1 year away from being a 10-year veteran. And if he had signed a new extension at 10 years, he could have gotten $80 million guaranteed more than this summer. And it put him in the perfect spot to protect him because he had this year under contract and next season as a player option. And so if he had, had an injury or something, he always had the player option as protection. But it put him in a position where he could re-up his contract at year 10. And so it really doesn't make financial sense for him to extend this summer.
And you're seeing the same thing play out with Joker in Denver. I forget wherever Serbia was playing, but Joker basically said yesterday after a World Cup qualifying game, I'm going to stay in Denver, but I'm going to sign next year. And the reason there, as McMenamin wrote, is he can do 4 years, 278 now, or he can do 5 years, 359 and a half next year. So, Joker is opting like, hey, let's maximize the money. And while Donovan's signing a max extension, by signing it now, he isn't maximizing the money.
Right. And so, Jokic has multiple times said, I'm a Denver Nugget for life. And if you're going to trust anybody in all of professional sports, I don't know who you're going to trust more than Nikola Jokic. However, he will be an unrestricted free agent next summer. Like that, you will exist this year, going through this year, knowing that if things go terribly sideways, that Jokic will be an unrestricted free agent. I don't think the Nuggets are going to, be losing sleep over it, although I keep it in mind as I was trying to dump salary, which, the Nuggets haven't re-signed free agents this offseason, but they haven't dumped any salary yet. Mm-hmm. So, that's interesting. That's food for thought. But I think the thing with Donovan would be the same thing. Like Donovan has said nothing but positive things. I don't think the Cavs would have operated this year like totally afraid he was going to leave, but they would have to protect themselves in certain ways. And I'm not sure if Donovan wasn't 100% fully committed, whether you could make every decision expecting him to be there. Like, I'm not saying you trade him, but I'm saying, like, as you did your long range planning, like, for example, people were talking about, the idea of trading Evan Mobley. Well, what I was saying in Cleveland was, I don't think you could even entertain the idea of trading Evan Mobley unless Donovan was under long-term contract, because if something happened with Donovan, Evan would have to be your franchise player. And nor am I saying now they can trade him. I'm just saying, I think they had to operate that way. So Donovan giving the Cavs this extension now, I agree, McMahon, is a level of risk because you're entering into a contract with a guy where this contract's going to be all in his 30s, and you worry about trapping yourself, absolutely. Yeah. But I also think that him doing this now keeps him from getting, because if he has another All-NBA year, what, are they not going to sign him in a year?
Right.
So they would have been further committed to more money a year ago.
No, I mean, the Cavs had to sign this deal.
Yeah, and they have to celebrate it. And it is something worth celebrating.
And look, the challenge really is, one, how much luxury tax is Dan Gilbert going to be willing to pay as you're building out this roster? And then two, just the challenges, the handcuffs that come in place with a contract this big on your books as you build out the roster, and they've been one of, if not the most expensive team in the league. I mean, one way you can really get around some of these things is if you sign a perennial all-star to a minimum contract, which the Cavaliers might have a chance to do. Like, that helps, right, manage the books when the team gets really expensive. But I think that's probably going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I don't think that's something you can pull off.
Yeah, if you can get two all-stars where one guy makes $60 million and one guy makes $4 million, and you get your average down to $32.5 million,